the contract with Black America, it's all a form of reparations, across the board. There's sprinkles of reparations all through that. So it's not just a check, it's not just a dollar amount. It's making things fair.
Right now, everybody is of the mindset of like, okay, we got to this moment, everybody's talking, people are holding other people accountable or trying to. And in this moment of figuring out what the next step is, you have developed what you called a contract with Black America, which is a very detailed plan. And I couldn't find anything in there I disagree with, having read it, about what can be done in terms of reparations, closing the racial wealth gap in this country. I mean, it's very detailed, that addresses jobs, education, like every sector of Black life that has been impacted by oppression, institutional racism, and all these other said forces. How did you develop this contract? What gave you an idea to put something on paper that addressed all the systemic issues that we're facing as a community?
Well, years ago, me and my partner worked on something called the American Jobs Pact, which was a great idea to let anybody who wanted to learn a trade or learn how to get in the industry, you can learn for free, no matter what age. You don't have to be college age. You could be 31 and you figure, I need to get off my ass and do something. You can go in and learn a trade. All you had to pay was community service. So you put in so many hours of community service, that was your tuition. So that's how people can go to school without having to come up with all this tuition, and learn a trade or different trades without that. Then you had industry, okay? Here's how they win. They take their supervisors, their instructors, people that help other people learn the job. You make them class instructors, and you teach the people of the community the job that you need done. You teach the people in the community how to do it. You provide the equipment and the instructions and this, and you get it tax exempt, okay? Government, you win by not only does the community, by community service, take care of itself in a lot of ways, but now you're pulling from an American job force. Your IP is not being stolen and taken to other countries to be developed faster and better, but your IP is staying here in America, being developed. You're not, as far as government, you give the companies a tax exemption, okay, for their equipment and instructors they have to pay. So it wins all the way around. So through that and through all this, we realized that we need something more across the board, something that touches every area where we're being systematically shut out. The fix is in. You know what I mean? It's not fair, and there's no way to break through unless you make a breakthrough. So that's what the contract with Black America is trying to do, is take care of this thing across the board, where we can deal with this at this moment in time and not have to carry this baggage for more generations to come, where this was never rectified. Basically we're 13.45, whatever number percent of the country, and we deserve 13 point whatever share of what America has to offer, especially when it comes to, federal, state, local levels. So this is where that comes from. It's just an extension of trying to fix this with people who are serious about fixing the problem.
One of the first things that you point out in this contract, a contract with Black America, is a system of reparations. And we've had discussions about reparations in pockets, no real seriousness in this country. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but Asheville, North Carolina, they just voted their city council 7-0 to formally apologize to its Black residents for the city's role in slavery and discriminatory housing practices and other racist policies, and also to provide reparations as part of this. For you, as somebody who's laid out the system of reparations, what does reparations to you look like for Black people in this country?
Well, a lot of people, who are smarter than me have been studying up on this for a long time, on how do you measure it? If it was measured, how do you do it? There's a great document called Neo Reconstruction that Chris Broussard and a few other people are working on that has a detailed game plan. But reparations to me can happen in several different ways. Is it not having to pay taxes for a certain amount of time? That would make a lot of Black people whole real quick. And there's other things we can do where the government doesn't have to cut a check, but they can give relief in areas where we're paying just as much as white families who make 10 times more than us per household. So it's just a way for us to somewhat catch up, or at least get to a percentage that's fair. Right now, banks loan us 3% of their money, across the board, and 97% of the money goes to other businesses and other interests, and not to our businesses and our interests in our households. That's incredibly unfair. It should be, 13.5% across the board should be available to businesses that qualify, because we can qualify and still get denied. So we got to rectify these systematic things that are meant to never allow us to catch up to this wealth gap.
Every time the conversation about reparations come up, as you know, there is extraordinary pushback. And, do you feel as if reparations, is that really the only real way we can ever rectify or reconcile some of the racial issues that have happened in this country? Because I think when people think of racism, they don't understand that generations have been wiped out as a result of racism and policies. I mean, you take something as simple as the GI Bill, because Black soldiers were denied the GI Bill at a time in history where you saw an extraordinary explosion in home ownership. And for us to be denied that means that you left generations of Black families were unable to own homes. And that's the best way to build wealth. So because this conversation has been such a non-starter, I mean, if we just think about it, do you think that reparations is the maybe true way that we can actually address some of these systemic problems?
If you really look at the contract with Black America, it's all a form of reparations, across the board. There's sprinkles of reparations all through that. So it's not just a check, it's not just a dollar amount. It's making things fair, and it's helping us to catch up. If we make our neighborhoods right, you won't need as many police. You won't need as many of these systematic things that are, more funneled towards our downfall and not towards our upliftment. We would take care of our own schools. We would, pick up the slack where, local government is failing. We should have, our schools should be not per district, per where you live. It should be per student in the state. Every student in the state deserves the same amount of money given to them to achieve. You know, just because I come from a poor neighborhood, I shouldn't have to go to a poor school. It never has a chance to be a great school because, you know, the way property taxes and things are paid out, it's just tilted, you know, against us. And all these things have to be rectified.